Hey there, greetings to my people from here at the Great Start Studio, where all of my drumming dreams are coming true. It's true. So this is where I'm shooting a video of the entire instructional series here in the studio, the 13 volumes of the London's Great Start Drum Set series. It's printed and the Kindle versions are available on Amazon as well as on my website, which is London's Great Start Drum Set. You can go there and check it all out. All my new videos from the studio will be available on that website for online lessons. Today I'm going to be talking about revealing some of my original drum heroes, what I call the Artistic Influence series. Drummers that I can actually see some of their playing in mine, that they've influenced me to that level. Drummers who truly changed my playing for the better, all the way through. There's some influence there in my actual hands and feet when I play. If in the studio, if I made posters of all the tribute, as a tribute to all the people, it'd just be every inch of every wall would be covered. It's just that these are the ones that have really, really influenced me in some foundational sort of way. So I made these posters as a tribute and a reminder of these great players. They're in my office. I'll be showing you. There's just too many to cover them all, but a handful that have really actually, I can see in my playing. There's so many great players who have inspired me in my drumming, but these are the select ones that have some way become a part of my style, my diversity, my teaching, my writing, and helped me develop my unique voice, which is a hard thing to find. You have to really listen inside. So anyway, enjoy the whole Artistic Influence series, and I'll be running them down, and I'll see you at the end. So, next up on my office inspirational posters, I have Glen Sobel. Glen Sobel has always been like this underrated all-round drummer who is hired to do piles of rock gigs. I think he's been with this last gig for like 10 years, right? And so he is got everything, though. He's an everything guy, and you can tell in his playing. The first things that I heard with him was early on. This is Tony McAlpine's third album, Madness, and of course back then in the Shrapnel, theme, there was a lot of tracks that would just start out like with some massive drum thing. Dean Castronovo did this a ton, and it just really kind of set a standard. Glen did this exceptionally well. He's one of the rare guys that actually rose up to that level to me, where he is really pressing. Like, he's really pressing to make a statement. He understands what that kind of music requires, that kind of blistering sort of bombastic technique, and I think he just totally nailed that early on the Madness record. Especially when they get into tracks like, I think it was called Albert's Fat Sister, where it's almost like a shuffly show tune kind of thing. And of course, I've got that thing for shuffle, and how the triplets can be square and round. And he's just playing. He's got great flams. Another thing that Dean did so well is just these powerful flam fills. Glen's got that. Every time I see him record something or performance, he's really responsible to the music, but he also has all these things that he can do in the music as well. And so if they wanted to do an intro, he can come up with an intro that fits that kind of stylistic endeavor where you're two-fisting this fill down, and it could be double bass. He's got this really cool kind of cymbal strike with a grab technique that causes kind of like, it's like a cymbal grab that's in the middle of your groove. It's not just a single, it's part of the groove that he's developed this thing that he's very, very comfortable with. He does it off the cymbal on the right. He does it off of his left. He does it with his hi-hat opening. And it creates this really cool sounding sort of almost hi-hat opening and closing effect in the middle of these grooves. And he did this on Jennifer Batten's Tribal Rage album. And Jennifer's got, she's played some of the greatest, biggest shows ever with Michael Jackson's, for a decade, and Super Bowl, everything, and so when she tapped him on this, or they got involved together somehow to be on this record, I thought that was a perfect blend. She's the three of them are playing kind of in their own space, and it allows them, it's not like unison music where everything is like played right together. It's more floating, it's more free. Jennifer gets to kind of be free over the top of what Glen was doing, and that record really, I just practiced that record so much. And then and of course Glen's playing is so clear on it. They really recorded it well. It's, like I said, it's in its own sonic space. He's obviously got a lot to contribute to that, but also to probably anything that he puts his hands to. I just think he's very underrated. Every time I see a video of him, he's adding something to it. So it's like it's not enough for him to play Hot for Teacher. He has to kind of add this extra thing that he can do to it to make a statement that he's, there's that song, but he's above that. Like he can somehow still contribute, like beyond those notes. He can figure out a way to make his own statement on there. Of course, that's such a satisfying sort of thing as an artist, is to be able to put your stamp on it. And so I just recognized that right from the beginning with the Tony McAlpine Madness record. He just leapt out, right? And so with Jennifer, it was just so free. It's just so free there. And, the last show before the whole COVID lockdown, actually right at the top of it, I had a show with Jennifer that we did, 8-9 rehearsals for at the studio up in Portland, Oregon. And we were supposed to do the show, and she was worried that it might get canceled. It was at the A&A Casino. And sure enough, it got canceled along with everything else that happened. So all the work just kind of like disappeared. But Jennifer has some real, deep pockets to dig into for what she can contribute to a song. And this record, I thought, was just like a perfect culmination of players, with Jennifer and Glen. Glen's just got a lot of power back there, and he's a showman. He's got all sorts of stick tricks that he does. He brings a lot to the table, and I've heard an interview with him recently where he was talking about how he's been tapped to play for all these kind of guitar sort of player records, and that has become kind of his thing, right? But it's just because you're hired in a certain direction and you get known. It's kind of like an actor. Like you have an actor, and they're basically have practiced acting in every kind of emotional scale that you can imagine. And then somehow, for whatever reason, the market picks you up in a certain way and says, "Hey, we think that you're really good at this kind of role." And then you end up in 10 movies in that kind of a role. Maybe you're a detective, or you're always the medical guy, or you know what I mean? But your life has been much more broad than that. And so this is how I see Glen. Glen could be like, he could turn around and play, pop. He's on those shows where he's like in the backup band, and they have a whole who's who come out. Well, it's because he can, right? So Glen actually really affected me right there at the tail of the Shrapnel era, and then in the Jennifer Batten record. That record, man, for some reason I just played it. There's so much interesting stuff in it to play along with, and they're not all pressed tempos. Some of it's pretty groovy, and I just owe that to Glen. Glen was one of those flashpoints for me right at that point. And so and I have his poster in here. It's actually right in the entrance of the office when I walk in, so I see it all the time, even when I walk by the office. And I love this picture of him, by the way. It's really good. And I really owe that, the continuation of the double bass, the broken double bass, where you have those 30-second note kind of bounces instead of going da 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 in 16th notes, isn't those kind of things. Dean was doing that a lot, where you play with your hands and then you mimic it with your feet. Glen's got that, and then the powerful, flam type fills. He understands that those belong in that kind of music. It's almost like an exclamation point. You just need more of those in that kind of music to make it aggressive. And but there isn't anything like Glen's cymbal choking groove technique. That's a very unique statement. If I was him, it'd be like John Woo, where he always puts in, like, was it doves or something, and every movie he's got like birds flying somewhere. Well, that's what I would put that in there as just his signature thing, and somewhere on every record. It's just so, I can't think of anybody who sounds like that. So, but totally underrated player, and I appreciate you, Glen, and all that you've done, and will continue to do.